Dubey sir, you can introduce ma'am.
Okay. So good morning, friends. Our speaker this morning is Ms. Clemice Petter. Clemice is known to this group. She has spoken earlier, and she is going to talk to us on a theme, the role of love in Krishnamurti's teachings. Just for information of those participants who are going to listen to Clemice for the first time, I'll briefly introduce Clemice. Ms. Clemice Petter is living in India since 2014 and was a volunteer at the Philosophical Society headquarters in Chennai for several years. Deeply interested in Krishnaji's teaching, she left her country, Brazil, and settled in India, where she feels the environment is conducive to her spiritual quest. As a result of her years of studies and observations, she has published a book entitled Pathless Land, in which she shares her insights and impressions. With this brief introduction, I want to warmly welcome Clemice, and I also want to express our thankfulness for, on behalf of the Indore Study Cycle, to Clemice for being with us today and accepting our invitation to speak to this group. So Clemice, you know the rules of this virtual meeting. You can start and continue for as long as you want, but leave at least 20-25 minutes for people to ask questions. Yes, welcome, Clemice.
Okay, good morning to everybody, and thank you, Mr. Dubey, for this short introduction and for your welcoming words. To start, I would like to talk a little bit about why I chose this topic. I feel that in Krishnamurti readers, most of us sometimes we overlook the importance that Krishnamurti himself gave to love in his teachings. So he talks about it quite a lot in almost in every talk that I have heard. He talks about the power of this. I don't know even if it is a feeling, because I think this love that Krishnamurti talks about is not so much a feeling. It is much more a state of being than a feeling. So he talks a lot about this, and he goes as far as saying that when there is this capacity for love, and you will never go wrong. Do what you will. I mean, do whatever you do, and you will never go wrong. When there is this capacity for love, when there is this love that is moving us. So that was why I felt it is important that we talk a little bit about this topic. And then I selected some quotes, and I would like to share them, and so we can talk over these quotes. So Krishnamurti, when he even before he started giving these talks, and even before, when he was still in the Theosophical Society, he always gave a lot of importance to the topic love, because he says that love is there when you are not, which means as long as we have this feeling, as long as we have this identification with myself being separate, and this strong identification as a separate entity, it seems, according to what he says, that love is really not possible. What we call love, he says, is not love at all. So I think it is important that we try to understand a little bit about this, because Krishnamurti gives a lot of explanations about what is not. He takes the how does he call it?
Negation, perhaps, negation.
Yeah, the negative approach. So he talks about what is not, because what is cannot really be said, so put into words. So he talks a lot about what is not. And like that, he also talks about what love is not. So for most of us, it is even hard to listen to what he says when he talks about what love is not. And he even questions us about the love that we think we feel for our children. So he says, if you love your son, there will be no wars. You would educate him in a different way. So for us, this is, at least it was for me personally, it is quite shocking to realize that even the people we think we love the most, it may not be so. We may be mistaken, and we may think that love is something, and it is completely different from that. I will try to share one quote now. I don't know how much of that I will be able to share, because I'm not really so much acquainted with this kind of. And if I'm not able to share at all, I will just read it. Let me just try. Just a minute. Let me see here. So this is one quote that he says, charity should be direct. The giver and the receiver must feel no sense of obligation, nor the sense of superior giving to the inferior, nor the sense of shame. It must be given out of the fullest of heart. He who gives and he who receives, both are responsible for not erecting the barrier of separation. Charity ceases when there is no love. Without love, there is no charity. So here, he is clearly saying that without love, not even the giving something to others that we feel is something very great, it has almost no meaning, because it is just it does not come out of love. So he says, without love, there is no charity. You may give, you may donate hundreds, millions, whatever, but there is no charity. So when he says that is really something that, if we look at it, and he also says something very interesting in this post. He says, he who gives and he who receives, both are responsible for not erecting the barrier of separation. Most of us, when we give something to somebody with this spirit of charity, when we donate something, there is, in most of us, there is this feeling of I am giving, of I am donating. So this big I is always behind our actions. And it seems to me that this very feeling of I am doing this, I am giving this to this person or to these people, is already contaminating the act of giving, because that means you are not really giving, you are not really letting go. It is like you still want some recognition, you still want some something in return, be it recognition, be it thankfulness, be it gratitude, anything. You expect something for yourself. So it's not really giving. It is, again, a kind of exchanging. I give you this money because I really don't need it so much. I have enough, and I give you this. And in return, you give me a big name. You give me this sense of recognition that I am doing something very great. So when he said, then with this kind of feeling, we erect this wall of separation. Means I am giving, you are receiving. So there is no really, and somehow if we look really closely to this, we will see that most of us, when we give something with this sense of charity, we always have some kind of pride that comes with it. And the person who is receiving most of the time feels kind of diminished because is in the position of receiving. So there is a separation, there is a feeling that accompanies this kind of exchange. But when he says that when there is love, there will be no barrier. There will be no feeling of receiving or feeling of giving. Maybe then there will be a sense of sharing. And for us, it is a bit difficult to grasp what he's trying to tell us, because we hardly experience this kind of feeling, really. Most of the time, we even believe that the people who give big amount of money for charity. The other day I saw some football player in Brazil. Those famous ones, they get a lot of money. So one of them who gets a lot of money, really, he gave some of his money, of that money, to charity, and people made a big fuss of it. And some politicians and even some people, they even use that for self-promotion. So it is part of some kind of marketing plan, you know, to give money so that you get the... So it has become normal for us to think very great about people who give a lot of money. And we never think about a poor person who may give only that much that that person really has and is capable of sharing that. So I think we are all so responsible for this feeling, because we give a lot of, we believe in this. We believe in people who give a lot. There should be some kind of different price or different acknowledgement for that. So he also said something else. He says, without that feeling of love, without that sense of love, there is also no compassion. So sometimes when we read a lot of Krishnamurti, we feel we have understood and we know what he's talking about. But my feeling is that this verbal understanding, this intellectual understanding, when it comes to real life, when it comes to real interaction with other people, then it is when we can see how hard it is to really understand what he's saying, to really live the teachings. So that's why I feel it's really important that we give some attention to this topic, love in Krishnamurti's teachings. So there is one quote. I'm not sure I will be able to share it, because anyhow, I will just read it, because I will not be able to share it because it is in a website page and I'm not able to share that page. So there is one question. Somebody asks Krishnamurti, the strongest underlying commandment in all religions is to love your fellow man. Why is this simple truth so difficult to carry out? Krishnamurti answers, why is that we are incapable of loving? Why does it mean, what does it mean to love your fellow man? Is it a commandment, or is it a simple fact that I do not love you and you do not love me, there can only be hate, violence, and destruction? What happens? What prevents us from seeing the very simple fact that this world is ours, that this earth is yours and mine to live upon, undivided by nationalities, by frontiers, to live upon happily, productively, with delight, with affection and compassion? Why is that we do not see this? I can give you lots of explanations, and you can give me lots more, but mere explanations will never eradicate the fact that we do not love our neighbor. On the contrary, it is because we are forever giving explanations and causes that we do not face the fact. You give one cause, I give another, and we fight over causes and explanations. We are divided as Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, this or that. We say we do not love because of social conditions, or because it is our karma, or because somebody has a great deal of money while we have very little. We offer innumerable explanations, lots of words, and in the net of words we are caught. The fact is that we do not love our neighbor, and we are afraid to face that fact. So we indulge in explanations, in words, and the description of the causes. We quote the Gita, the Bible, the Quran, anything to avoid facing the simple fact. So in this he's saying a lot, because it seems that he's saying that we are not aware, we don't really see the fact that we do not love each other, that there is no love in our relationships, that the way we relate does not have love in it. And we keep on escaping from the fact by explaining it away, by giving lots of explanations and lots of reasons for the fact that we are not capable of love each other. So he then goes on he then goes on saying that with the facing of that fact, there comes a different quality, and it is this quality that saves the world. What happens when you face the fact and know for yourself that you do not love your neighbor or your son? If you loved your son, you would educate him entirely differently. You would educate him not to fit into this rotten society, but to be self-sufficient, to be intelligent, to be aware of all the influences around him in which he is caught, smothered, which never allow him to be free. If you love your son, who is also your neighbor, there will be no wars, because you would want to protect him, not your property, your little petty beliefs, your bank account, your ugly country, or your narrow ideology. So you do not love, and that is a fact. So if we can look at this fact, really, without giving explanations, just be with this fact and understand that without this quality of love, we may do whatever we like, we may say whatever we like, we may follow whatever teacher we may like best. But without this quality of love, our life will not change. The world in which we live will not change. Humanity, not the whole world. When we talk about changing the world, we always think about changing the whole world. But if we can change the world in which we are acting, in which we are interacting with each other, if that interaction can change, maybe a big bigger changes will come, bigger than we can even imagine. So it seems to me that to understand Krishnamurti, this quality of love is very important. And I would even say that without this quality, we may not understand not only Krishnamurti, we may not understand even each other. And so this quality of being capable of love is, I would maybe say it's the first step for understanding ourselves, to self-knowledge. This is a real, this capacity for love is really important and necessary for self-knowledge. There is one thing that Krishnamurti said to Professor Krishna many years ago. Professor Krishna shared this. He talked about this many times. Maybe some of you even heard him saying this. Krishnamurti once talking to Professor Krishna told him that if Annie Besant was not at the age that she was when he started giving the teachings, she would have understood the teachings. She would have been capable of grasping what he was talking about. And then he added, he said to Professor Krishna, because, sir, you have no idea of the capacity for love that she had. So in this, to me, at least, it becomes clear that this capacity for love is the primer, is a fundamental capacity for a person to be able to enter this spiritual search, to be able to understand any teaching, not only Krishnamurti, but any such teaching. There has to be this capacity. So I feel that more important than be reading all these things is maybe read not so much, read a little, and try to understand why are we not capable? Why is this that we don't have this capacity? Why is love such a difficult topic? In the West, love has been made into an ugly thing. It has become a romantic thing. And when you say this word love, everybody thinks about romanticism and love between, in a sexual way. So it has become a very, very ugly affair. So, but what Krishnamurti is talking about has nothing to do with that. It is something much deeper. It has to do with this human capacity to be human. Human in the real sense of human, because we may think we are human because we have this human body, but a body is not what makes us human. We need much more than that. We need to have a sensibility. We need to be able of empathy. We need to be able to see others as human beings, be it whoever it is. So we need to lose this competitive spirit, which is preventing us from love each other, from compassion, and even from empathy. So there is much more to it than just a body to say we are human. We may be in a human body, but our behavior may be completely animalistic. The animalistic behavior is this competition, is the fight for territory. All these things we can see in animals. So for us to say the human qualities, they are really related to kindness. They are really related to compassion and the capacity for love. So before we can say that we are human, and we have to develop this tenderness. So Krishnamurti says something very important. He says that we are not able to love because we don't face the fact that we don't love. And we fool ourselves believing that we love. We fool ourselves that we invest a lot of time and a lot of money in educating our kids. We think that's love. But it may not be. It may be just self-interest because they are our kids, so we want them to be successful so that people will say, oh, your son is very successful, he's an engineer, he's a big this, that, or the other. So then our education to our kids won't be really education. It will be just some kind of training for them to be what we want them to be, or at least what we expect them to be. So we may read Krishnamurti, we may quote, and we may even be vegetarians. So nowadays, this whole thing about vegetarianism and vegan to go vegan has become a big thing, and everybody's talking about it. But again, I feel it is for the wrong reason, because there is no sense of understanding. If we cannot love each other, we may be vegetarians and we may not kill any animal, but still we may kill each other in wars. And we may even support wars because we believe that it's some people say it's a necessary evil. I don't know if evil is ever necessary, be it whatever it is. So this itself shows that we are somehow not very much intelligent when we say that evil is a necessary thing. So we may do all these things. We may quote Krishnamurti, we may not eat meat, we may not drink milk, we may not do any such thing. But still, if we are not capable of love, all these things go in vain. It has no value. I have known many people who are vegetarians, who are even vegans, but they can be very aggressive and they can also be very competitive. Even in defending and protecting their vegan ideas, they can be very aggressive. And they may even put on a war to defend the idea of veganism. So that much crazy we can be. You know, we can say, you should not eat meat, so you should not harm animals, but we do harm people with words and with harshness and with, so what's the point? So without the capacity for love, we may do whatever we like. It means nothing at the end. So maybe our difficulties in grasping what Krishnamurti says, what Buddha said 2,500 years ago, what Christ says and all these people said, maybe because of this lack of capacity for love, and because we have been giving so many explanations. We say, how can I survive in this world if I become too tender? If I become too kind, I cannot survive. That is an interesting explanation. I have heard many such things. Like if I'm not competitive, how can I get a job? How can I get money? Or even business people say, if there is no competition in the working place, people are not productive. We are just repeating these kind of things. We never look at it, really. We never look at what competition means. I tell you by experience that competitive people, they are not productive. Cooperation brings much more productivity than competition. For a simple reason, a person who is competitive, that person is always having an eye on the competition. That person's interest is into win, it is on the prize. While a cooperative person does not have prize in mind, does not have this kind of ideas, he is really interested in what he is doing. So this competition really takes the mind away from giving full attention, complete attention to whatever they are doing. And so productivity goes down the drain. Because when you are not able to give full attention to whatever you are doing, you are not that much productive. So this is a very simple thing, and we are not able to even to understand that. We are afraid of letting go competition because we are used to it. That's how we know how to go about, and so we are not really willing to let go. So I think we have now 25 minutes for the end of the time. I think we can, rather me be talking about this, we can let other people also give their impressions and share their views. So I think from here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Clemice. I think you have explained it very well. I see Harshad ji raising his hand. Yes, Harshad ji, please unmute yourself.
Hello, are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Clemice. This topic interests me very much. Of all the topics, this love interests me very much because when I was about 25, 26 years old, I deeply fell in kind of a love. At the same time, I also came to know about Krishnamurti teachings. So I was reading Krishnamurti teachings and I was looking inside me about this relationship, which I had very, very strong, a lot of attachment, and there was a fear and a jealousy, a loneliness. So I was watching everything, what was going on inside me. And Krishnamurti was saying that jealousy is not love, fear is not love. Love is when this sense of self doesn't exist. That means there is a freedom from the self. And so this interests me very much. And it went on for 4 or 5 years, all this thing. And one article of all the Krishnamurti articles, one in Commentaries on Living about love in relationship. And in that article, there is one sentence which kept me looking at myself is love in relationship is a purifying process as it reveals the ways of the self. That means in a kind of this relationship, we begin to understand ourselves as we are, and it requires a real honesty, curiosity, energy to look clearly at oneself. And I was looking all that, and finally I felt that there was some kind of a freedom. And then I decided to join Krishnamurti school in 1979. And the letter I wrote to Krishnaji, the words came very spontaneous that I would like to teach or talk about love, beauty, and life to children of your schools. But I don't know how that can be done, but I can teach physics and mathematics. So I was qualified to teach physics and mathematics, and I enjoy teaching physics and mathematics. But even in my normal classes, physics and mathematics, I was talking about what it means to love. And whenever I had a chance to speak in the assembly, this was my favorite topic, love, beauty, and life. And speaking from my own personal experiences, what it means. So I feel that this feeling of love is the real great treasure buried within us. It doesn't come from outside. Only when we begin to understand ourselves as we are, we have wisdom, and that love which becomes kind of an impersonal. It's a capacity to love. And then that love can be given to any human beings. So it doesn't depend on one or two people, because those people may die or they may be taken away. But this love, it doesn't go away when we have a real understanding. And so that is the real freedom, the ability, the freedom from the self. And with that, our life, even in the old age, we begin to grow within. And those great mystics like Mirabai or Kabir, they had this, or Buddha or Krishnamurti or Raman Maharshi or Ramakrishna, they had this feeling of love, not for any one particular few people, but the capacity to love. And that comes from real understanding of ourselves. It comes from the wisdom and freedom. So I have said enough thing right now. Maybe we can speak later. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubha. Yes, Prasad Garu.
Yes, sir. Sir, firstly, I would record my appreciation for the speaker's approach. Firstly, I had no problem with her accent. And so that was a great relief. With foreign gentlemen, we have that, at least I have that problem sometimes. They may be very profound, but I won't be able to follow fully. And that leaves some dissatisfaction. Sorry, sir. I mean, I got a small disturbance, 1 minute only. I will.
Yeah, sure.
Just to say about this accent, in fact, I don't have any foreign accent because I learned English in India. So
Oh.
my accent is Indian accent.
I wish more foreigners learn their English in India. So, firstly, I had no problem. And secondly, her stress on love in the teaching of Krishnaji is so, I mean, well placed. But one thing I want to suggest, that is, she said love must be there. Well, that is very true. But sir, love cannot come unless you get rid of your baggage. And that is the problem. We live in the past. We live in memories. Our mind is always chatting. Unless those things stop, unless you realize how you have become a prisoner of the past, love doesn't come. So, that fragmentary approach, so long as you have that fragmentary approach, that the other one is a non-Hindu, or this one is a non-Muslim, whatever, all these fragments, or in India particularly, the caste system, unless we get out of them, you can't get love. Hinduism has placed a stress on universal love. They said the entire universe is kind of Brahman. That is there. In words, verbally, that is there. But it is limited to only words or slogans. That is why Krishnaji has said, don't be lost in scriptures. Any scripture. So many scriptures are there. And we fight on the basis of those scriptures. So, our charity also is based on scriptures. The scripture dictates charity, and so we give charity. There is no love in that. There is no affection in that. You don't look at the face of the beggar. You may give money. There is no feeling. And that is what Krishnaji, I think, has stressed. We don't we don't have love for the flower even. We don't look at the flower. You cannot love a flower by will. It is not, for us, religion is a matter of will. I have some position in this world now. I want a position in the other world, next world. Our anxiety is to secure our position, either in this world or in the next world. But we are not following, we don't have feeling. If you have feeling, you must get up in the morning and look at the plants in the garden. That I don't think we do. We are not simple, we are not basic, because our mind is always in the past or in tradition or in the glory of your family, that you come from a great family or things like that. So all irrelevant things which take you away from the present moment. We are always lost in logic, argumentation, knowledge. We are not giving attention to things, to the beauty of things like that. So, Madam has placed rightly that stress on love in the teaching of Krishnaji and on the importance of love in our lives. But my only submission is, it is not something that you can get automatically. It comes only when you remove all that rubbish from the brain. And that is what Krishnaji has sought to do, to remove that rubbish, that age and stables he has cleaned. The age and stables of the human mind, human consciousness. Thank you, sir.
May I just say something?
Yes, please. Thank you,
See,
Prasad, sir. Thank you.
See, this whole thing, he says, we cannot even love a flower. See, if we love a flower, we will never plug it to offer it to some altar or something. It is already placed in an altar, you know. We don't need to plug it. If we love a flower, we will admire her, smell the smell and go away and be happy with and leave it alone. So this thing that we have to plug flowers and we have to do all these things shows already. And see, we cannot really wipe away the rubbish from our mind. So what Krishnamurti says, be aware of it. If the rubbish is there and accumulates more and more because we are not aware of it. So if we can see that we don't love, see it, be with it. Don't say, no, but I do love because I do this, because I do that. No, be aware you don't love, be with it, accept the fact. Then maybe things change. And not only about love, about everything. So just when we say, we already know that to be a Hindu, to be a Christian, to be a Buddhist, those things divide us. But we still are like that. We still take pride in saying, I am a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I am this, I am that. Can we see that? Can we look at it? Can we really be aware of it and see the danger of this thing? So that's the thing that we miss because we explain everything away.
Thank you, Clemice. Thank you. Dr. Pradeep Verma. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Clemice, for sharing your heart and mind. something we all need every moment. You see, role of love, one can see behind all the teachings, not only Krishnamurti, role of love, one can see behind all the teachings that have stood the test of times. No doubt the persona is manifestation or phenomenon connected with the moving on, which is largely invisible to limited visions, does play an important and additional role in time and space. Love, to my understanding, is that what connects. What connects. You see, even modern physics as demonstrable science is the result of love. Socrates to Sartre, Ramakrishna Raman Maharshi to Nisargadatta Maharaj, Buddha to Krishnamurti is all the manifestation of love. It is the difference of language and semantics that gives a verbal flavor through us. All of them shared freely with suffering masses, their realization in life, about life in general. Love for Krishnamurti is unconditional and impersonal. In a way, one can understand love as wholeness. One can understand love only as wholeness. Anything that divides love. And we all suffer. We are all suffering the pangs of various divisions. If I am fragmented in any way, actually, I cannot be in that love which is available to all of us. As I see, love is all around in various shades and colors. Harshad Bhai, while he was talking, he said an interesting thing: love doesn't come from outside. You see, to me, love doesn't differentiate outside and inside. So this is what struck me at that time. I would love to share one quotation. Just allow me to read 4 or 5 lines. If you have no love, do what you will. Go after all the gods on earth. Do all the social activities. Try to reform the poor. Enter politics, write books, write poems. You are a dead human being. Without love, your problems will increase, multiply endlessly. And with love, do what you will. There is no risk, there is no conflict. Then love is the essence of virtue. What else? What else is there? Everything covered, life as such. We have to be attentive, as Clemice was talking, attentive moment to moment. What JK tells about this as meditation or dhyan in Indian darshan. So this is all that is important, moment to moment, everything changing, and you are also changing with it. In that love flow, you may call anything, but this is what love is all about. Thank you very much. To me, anything if you would like to say, please, most welcome.
Thank you, Pradeep. I think we have Dinesh Waghmare. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Are you able to listen to me, Clemice?
Yes.
Whatever you said are the versions of JK. JK says love between husband and wife, brother and sister is not love. In that way, in any worldly relation, there is no love because there is a feeling of separation. So, JK says that love is there when self is not. But this is what should be. What is fact is, most of the people or most of the humans are having self, say 99% or even more. So what are your personal views? Is there any love available in any worldly relations or not? Your personal views, I am asking. not JK's words or JK's statements.
Yeah. See, first of all, why do we divide relationship into worldly and what is the other one? Is there something like divine relationship? There is only worldly relationship because we are in the world. So our relationships are worldly. There's no way out. The day we die, we may have some divine kind of thing. But for
But
now,
that,
so the question is, are we 99%? I don't know. 100% of the people, I don't know. I don't mind what people do. The question is, what do I do? Am I capable of seeing that I don't love anybody? Am I capable of seeing my selfishness? That what I call love is just self-interest? That is the important thing. And if I can really see this, the day that I see this and it hurts me, the day that I cry because I am so crippled by this selfishness, because this is a crippling thing. It makes us cruel, you know, selfishness makes us cruel. So the day that I see this and tears run from my eyes, because I am
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. I am accepting.
That day,
I am accepting all your stand. I am accepting all your stand in toto. Whatever you said is okay, fine. But we are talking of this fragmented love. This fragmented love, is it love or not?
There is no fragmented love. Fragmentation already denies love. So there is no such thing.
I think Clemice has explained it. There is no point having an argument on this. He wanted an answer and she is given it. Yes, Durga ji, please.
Yes. Good afternoon. I think it's still good morning, I think, Clemice. Yeah, it's a nice discourse. And actually speaking, I think love is my journey with the Krishnaji's books, you know. Love, I always found it's a very, very tough and, you know, supreme kind of status, especially we find in Krishnaji's teachings. For my understanding, mostly I used to see his beautiful descriptions of nature and mostly his discourses on thought and how, you know, the ego, the I, the self, you know, how it has created fragmentation in this world. All those things, you know, used to attract me so much. And love, somehow I always kept that in the last pedestal, you know, and because the words, when we read them, they were so tough. He says, love is when you are not, the self is not, which I don't know what does it mean, not having a self and a love is there. And I remember reading about it in one of the commentaries of living. He says it is like it's a flame that burns without smoke. That analogy also was, you know, too way beyond for me. It's a flame and it's burning, you know, and it doesn't have any smoke to leave. So these things used to remain very much at the back of my mind. But only things, you know, used to be this, you know, day-to-day work on ourselves. I still feel there is nothing called, you know, attaining some kind of a point or some kind of a destination or something. It's all work in progress. You read something, you hear something, something affects you, and you act on it. After some time, maybe, you know, through the trappings of the world, we forget. And we forget about Krishnaji's teachings also, we move on. But still something again comes back to you. And again, it makes you wonder, reflect. And I think it is coming back to it, reflecting on it. And as you quoted so many instances where, you know, the charity, this is so commonly evident in all the commentaries of Living series, how he says, you know, the people who do so much of charity to the societies, you know, and the organizations, they build organizations. And if you just closely look at them, it is not out of love and concern for the fellow human beings they do. They do mostly for their own enlargement of self. There is nothing, you know, charitable thing in it. They spend enormous energy in that. Maybe without not even realizing that, you know, what they are doing and why they are doing it. But those people who have keen eye may notice, you know, there is nothing called, selflessness and concern for the very rare cases. I can't say that, there are no people like that. I feel there are human beings who do so selflessly, and maybe they're all called unsung heroes. We don't get to read them in the newspapers. I feel, this my old grandmother, she used to say, unless and until there is goodness in this world, there is that selfless goodness in this world, the world cannot function. But these people, we don't get to see them in the newspapers, we don't get to hear them. But if you just start observing them in all around us, we find all kinds of people. Definitely people with all this, the big stars and the, politicians, the movie stars doing big charity, and all our attention is definitely, thanks to this information technology, there's all this, the internet, and all our focus is all the time all about that. But do we see all these people also who just do things, just like that, because they feel from inside? So, and they might not have read many books also. They might not have heard of Krishnamurti also. Maybe some people are like that. The world is a huge composite structure, nature. But where am I in this? What is my relation with this world? And when I listen to Krishnaji, when I listen to them so intently, maybe something starts acting on me. And I just want to, to my previous two speakers, like Prasad Garu and all said, it is more on working on your, through negative. So when you observe yourself, do you see that, you in what, in your activities, what are the motives behind your activities? Like when I'm bringing up my children, am I too possessive of them? Am I binding them or making them cling to me? Or am I just doing my responsibility and leaving them to nurture, to figure out their own course? So naturally, we're all householders also. And whatever sphere we are in, whatever circle we are in, whatever the place we come from. So it is a moment-to-moment observation. And maybe we can do only that much. We can't keep on doing this also. It comes to us naturally and it flowers. Maybe it carries on. I can't even call it flowering. Maybe it acts on us and maybe something falls off. And maybe it's tilling your soil and just keeping it fertile as much as you can do, taking out your negative or something. And maybe love may happen or it may not happen. So that is my take on this whole topic. And it's very nice topic. It's very tough. I shouldn't have ventured this topic because for me, it's still toughest topic. Thank you very much for this session today. Thank you.
May I just say something?
Yes, please.
Sure. She says there are people like this, there are people like that. There are people of all kinds in the world. That should not concern us. What people do and why they do and how they do doesn't matter. The fact is, how do I give? When somebody knocks at my door and I say, okay, I will give this rice to this person. How do I give it? Do I look at that person as a poor person who needs something? Or do I look at it as a human being who is hungry and I'm going to share whatever I have in my kitchen with them? So that is what should concern us. How I do, how I give, how I share whatever or if I have something that I will give to somebody, how do I give that? And be aware of that feeling. Maybe I look at the person and I think in the depth of my heart, I feel, oh, there is a poor person who needs something, who is asking something from me. So be aware of the way I look at them. Be aware of what I feel at that moment of giving, of being approached by a beggar. Do I look at him as a beggar? Or do I look at him as a human being who is hungry? So, and that does not need to be told to anybody. This is my observation with myself. Be aware of how I feel and how I give and the feelings that come up at that moment.
Thank you, Clemice. Thank you. Arunji, you want to say something? Mr. Arun Partha?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Madam, I had one doubt. Actually, generally, if you look at it, love should actually begin with oneself. Then only you can probably know, I mean, you know what the feeling of it, and then you can share it with others and all. Because otherwise, most of a relationship, no, since we lack love, only we go running behind it, and we want a lot of relationship, and so we create a lot of trouble outside. And even if you see in Christianity, I mean, I don't remember exactly, but there is a saying that thou shall love thy neighbor as thyself. So if you look at it, like, your love towards oneself should be so much, then only you can love your neighbor itself, right? Something like that. So when Krishna ji says there is no self, so I mean, there's a slight thing, like, I'm just wondering how this can be related. So I feel personally that love should begin with oneself first. And the second question which I had is, can we really love everybody? Because there are different variety of people in this world. You know, there some might be really have done a lot of things and acts of violence and all that. So can we really love anybody, everybody? Is that possible? Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, when we have this division, and I am going to love everybody, those who are violent and those who are not violent, already I start with division. So there can be no love at all. So when Krishnamurti says love is there when you are not, means when there is no division such as me and the one who is capable of violence. So when we understand, when we go deeper and deeper into ourselves, we will see that what makes that person be capable of violence. There are so many reasons that make a person do anything they do. So the more you understand yourself, the more you will understand also what is behind all these acts of violence. And with that understanding, compassion comes. And love, to be able of compassion, one has to be able of love first. So, and for that, you really can have no divisions, because when you see the other as judging him, saying, oh, you are a bad guy because you are able of violence, already you are committing violence because you are judging him. So you are also being violent. So how can you judge based on what? So it's a very hard topic, and we really have to go deeper and deeper in understanding human nature, first of all. And this thing about Christianity, they say, love your neighbor. You see, that it's just words, because love your neighbor. Christians have killed so many people. So where is that? So I don't know. And next thing is, if Christians will really honor what their scriptures say, they will not go for wars. But Christian countries, they are also going for wars. So.
Thank you, Clemice. We have two more hands. Yes, Harshad, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, can I speak?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dubey. Thank you, Clemice. I very much agree. I feel that understanding ourselves as we are is very, very important. Not thinking about other people, but what is happening within us. And only in relationship we can understand. And Krishnamurti himself had many romantic relationships in his young life. At the same time, he was learning from this relationship. He had a lot of time, he had a curiosity, he had a passion. So all this, the real problem of human being is the problem of relationship. And when that relationship, through that relationship, when we begin to understand ourselves, then we don't create problems for ourselves and for others. So so if there is anger, we look at anger, not try to be free from anger, but looking at it and to look clearly at what is, it again requires a freedom, and it requires a passion, it requires an energy. So all these qualities, when a human being has, then a person learns a lot from a bad relationship as well as good relationship. and then there is a freedom. And in that freedom, life works beautifully, and there is a real relationship with nature, with everything around us. It may not be very romantic or with lots of thoughts and feelings, but a different kind of relationship. A non-verbal relationship happens. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ravi Kaushal, he is not here. He has raised his hand. Yes, Mr. Shiva Kumar, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Very interesting discussion, and we all understand that it is very, very important to understand oneself. Understanding oneself is watching every moment what arises in me without any reaction. That we all know, right? So, which, when we say without any reaction, which K talks as choiceless awareness, without choosing, right? But with all this understanding, somewhere we also have a conclusions where, all the baggage has to go. All the baggage is not of 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. The baggage is more than 10,000 years baggage, which Kate talks about. All this baggage has to end, then the love comes into picture. Can we approach with that conclusion? Or is this a moment, watching every moment without reaction, without an end, without a search, without a seeking?
Go ahead, yeah.
That moment itself, is it an eternity? Is it not endless thing? Or should we say I'll observe without any reaction, but then all this past in me has to come to an end, then the love comes into picture, which I doubt whether it will happen in your lifetime or in my lifetime. So to put it in a simplest way, without seeking, without searching, without choosing, can understanding oneself, is that's all, right? Not with the intention, not with the moment you have an intention, the moment the conclusion comes into picture, then that there's a reaction. That's a reaction, right? So that's what I wanted to say. Many times, after reading too much, we come to, yes, K had made a statement, but then we can't use that as a conclusion and then approach our moment to moment living without a reaction. So there can't be any goal as such, search, conclusions, it is just watching, understanding oneself without any reaction. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Let me just say something.
Yes,
See,
please.
this whole thing about no reaction, you cannot live without reaction. Unless you are dead in the coffin or buried or cremated, you have reactions. That's a normal thing. But be aware of them. Most of the time, we are not aware of what goes on within us. So to be aware of your reactions, to watch them, you cannot prevent them to happen. It's not possible. When you try to prevent reactions, you start to, that itself is a reaction, of something that you have been told. Somebody tells you should not have reactions, so you react to that by trying to prevent reactions. Reactions will be there, it's normal, but you have to be aware of them.
Yes, Mr. Ravi Kaushal, you want to ask us something?
Yes. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Hello, everybody. Clemice, one thing I must say that you have a really very nice heart, and I think on the floor everybody feels that. And one thing that Kay said that if that we don't know as a human being what that love is, which is not of the self. So he's not saying that love is the divine love is that. He's not explaining the divine love, but he's saying that on the level where you are, or as a fragmented one, you can see that what love is not. So all in your hand, at where you are, is seeing that what love is not in oneself, and becoming free of that is, I think, the thing. Becoming free, I think, is not the right word, but see that this all that the pleasure and the jealousy and the desire is that love. What love is not, I think Kay has told much about on that. This is pleasure love, is jealousy love, is desire love, and then and one thing you said that when you feel emotions, Clemice, I think you have uh, talked on one emotion thing. So it's emotion love, and then the attachment is attachment love. This attachment, one must have to see that if there is any kind of attachment in you, if you want to live in the field of fear of losing that, so one must have to see in oneself. And then one more thing, this I think Harshadji always talked in terms of what he did in last years and all that. This thing, I think, is kind of an image. It seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me, so is image love? When you have image of others and myself or whosoever it is, or K1, is image love when you are fragmenting thing in images? And this one more beautiful woman, this Durga Rani ji, she's talking about that. She's always talking in terms of journey. Why talk in terms of journey? Journey with the goal of self evolution. Why is there this thing? Thinking in terms of time. When is time love? Can you find love in time? So and then two things I forgot. These psychological understanding love. So I'm just asking these things. So nice talking to Clemice. Love is always my one thing. There's a juice in love. I feel that. So please, I've talked enough. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not really clear about what is your question, but anyhow, I will just say something, which is, you see, Krishnamurti, he also said something. He says, those who are emotional, they are capable of cruelty. So that means love cannot be emotion. This love that Krishnamurti is talking about is not an emotion. It's a state of being. We think in terms of emotions, because that's all we know. But he's not talking in terms of emotions.
Thank you, Clemice. Thank you. I think Ravi, you have already spoken. Let's hear somebody else. Yes, Harish ji.
Okay, namaskar to everyone. I pick up the thread from what Madam just now said, and that is very profound. One thing I would like to say, there is a bhajan of Gandhi ji, we all know, Vaishnav Janto Tene Kahiye Peer Parai Jane Re. Means those who feel the pain of people, they are true Vaishnavas. I think that only tells the half truth. Personally, I have often felt, and I have observed in myself, when somebody is in need, then of course I mostly enjoy helping them. But when somebody is progressing, becoming richer than me, and of course I am not rich at all, but what I mean is that somebody is going ahead in life, then at times I feel there is a wave of jealousy. To me, somebody defined love as affection, and that is to be affected by someone. So I think if somebody is crying and then something in me cries, but that is only half truth. If somebody is happy and that happiness becomes infectious, means I see, let's say Dubeji smiling or laughing, okay, and I cannot help laughing. Laughing means not necessarily outwardly. Something in me suddenly blooms and blossoms. That is not even to talk about. So that is to be affected by everything. You can allow me, I see when I go for walks, I see dogs sleeping in the street and I watch them carefully, and I see watching those dogs sleeping gives me the same, tickles me the same way as a beautiful woman or a cute child walking in the street and attractive. It gives me the same feeling. So love is all about sensitivity. And I think if we are sensitive, then let the rest take care of itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haresh. Thank you. Yes, Kuralla Gupta, please unmute yourself. Unmute. Kuralla Gupta. I don't see any response. Yes.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
I am from Bangalore.
Yeah, please go ahead.
One thing, sir, if there is no psychological thoughts in our brain, then everything love only will create. Automatically love will be there. It cannot be created. If there is no psychological thoughts are created by us, reaction also should not come from psychological thoughts. Reaction will be there, but they should not come from psychological thoughts. Then it's okay. Division is the main problem, which is the hurdle for the love. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Thank you. I think it's time we can close now. I want to thank Clemice for a very thought-provoking talk, a simple word, but very loaded and content. He speaks volumes about this. Before I close, I want to raise the issue which I wanted for some time. You know, we have been organizing these talks for little more than 3 years now without fail. But we find it very difficult to find out speakers now because, you know, at least my contacts and Harshad Bhai's contacts in Netherlands, US, Canada, England, Thailand, Australia, we have touched everything and we have tried to bring in people. So lots of things are coming in our mind whether we should, right now, I mean, we can perhaps pull on till May, but beyond that, it may be difficult for us to organize talks every Sunday. So quite a few things are coming in our mind. One is we can have the talks maybe once a month or twice a month, depending on the availability of speakers, or we can only have dialogues on Thursdays and not have talks at all. So I would like the opinion or views of some of you who want to write to me or to Sushil Ji, expressing what kind of format you would like to have, because I mean, you know, having talked by somebody which is just a repetition or there's not something which gives you an opportunity to question, think, will be meaningful, because the Krishnamurti circle, the whole purpose is that if reading or listening to Krishnaji, we get some questions that help us to realize ourselves, to know ourselves. So I would like you, all of you, each one of you or some of you, depending on how you want to respond, you can write to us by mail or by WhatsApp and express your views. And depending on how you respond, we'll decide about the format or how to take it forward from May onwards. Since Pradeep ji has raised his hand, I'll take the last question now. Pradeep ji, please unmute yourself.
Just a small point, just a small point.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm not reacting to reactions, but actually Clemice talked about that it is natural to react. We all react, reactions. To me, there are responses and reactions. You see, if my state of consciousness tells when we react, usually we have something in our mind as a conclusion or some knowledge in us. And when it gets some sort of thing, then we react. We react. But responses may be cooler than this. This is what I feel. That's all. Responses and reactions. Thank you, Clemice. Thank you. I'm not reacting.
Sir, would you please announce next Sunday's lecture?
Next Sunday, we have Mr. S. Gopalan. I don't remember the
No,
topic.
Dalal.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Roshan Dalal.
Roshan
No,
Dalal will
Dalal.
be coming next
Dalal.
Sunday at 11 o'clock. So you're welcome to join. And she is going to talk about, I don't remember. Do you remember the topic, Sushil ji?
Just I have to see it.
Seeing is
Seeing is believing.
Is reacting.
Let all people have got their own view, at least about this Zoom meeting. Everybody is requested to give his own opinion.
Yes, how do we take it forward? I'll be very happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
And also suggestions about speakers to be taken in, because Thursday, of course, we may continue because, we have to read something from Krishnaji or show a small video and then have a discussion. That can continue. I don't see any problem in that. But organizing a talk where people speak for half an hour or 45 minutes followed by a question answer session, we find it very difficult. At least I am familiar with the Krishnamurti circle, people who are in different foundations, and whoever can speak, we have tried to bring them in. But now I find it very difficult to get people. Yes, Prasad sir has a suggestion.
Nothing, sir. I want your address, telephone number, etc.
I'll just put it in the chat box.
Okay.
I'll
But
just
the
put it in the chat box.
chat box closes the moment you close.
So, okay, give me your mobile number, sir. I'll give you the details.
98480 39108.
98480
39108.
39108. Okay, sir. I'll send you my email ID and the phone number. I'll do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Topic is, has anyone changed an analysis?
Yes. I think I don't know what kind of change she's talking about. She can explain it better.
Nobody has changed.
Why do you want to change? That's the question. At least I don't know to change.
You can question Dalal.
Yes.
Her subject.
We'll do that.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
we have come to the close now. Clemice, thanks a lot. Thank you very much. We'll keep inviting you, and you bring something new to the table every time you come. Thanks a lot. Thanks. And I'd also like to invite you to talk about Krishnaji's teachings and that of Ramana Maharshi. How do you see the two? Are they different or they are the same? Something of that kind we can arrange for a talk.
Yeah, sure. It will be good to talk about that also.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks to all. Modak, would you please end it?